So we are lucky to have with us today Harald Wodrich. So he's a researcher that started his scientific career, PhD and postdoc at the University of Hamburg in Germany. Then he moved to the Scripps Research Institute as a postdoc, and then he moved to France, to Montpellier, to start his own group. And after that, he moved to Bordeaux to start the Laboratoire de Microbiologie Fondamentale Pathogenicite, a mixed institute between the CNRS and the University of Bordeaux, studying the spatial and temporal control of virus-host interactions. So thank you so much for answering our questions today. So can you tell us a little bit about your research interests?
So my research interests are multiple, but I think on a global scale, I'm very interested in viruses that enter cells and are faced with the cell defenses. And during this entry phase of an infection, it applies to every virus. We work on adenoviruses, but it applies to every virus. The virus has no access to its own genome, so to its genetic information. So everything that the virus brings into the cell to overcome cellular defense mechanisms is the particle itself or its genome. So, which means that these proteins that form the virus particle, they have, on one side, they have structural functions, but at the other side, they need to be able to interact with cellular defense mechanism and then kind of divert them, block them, or hijack pathways so that the virus can, as fast as possible, bring its genetic information where it needs to. In the case of adenovirus, it's the nucleus, express them, and then it has multiple factors available that it can use to take over the cell and establish replication or establish latency in the case of other viruses. And this dual function of viral proteins, that is what fascinates me. So that they, on one side are structural, on the other side they're kind of anti-host factors.
Very interesting. So how did you realize that you wanted to be a scientist? Do you remember?
I remember because it was, in the end it was a professor. I was a professor who gave a lecture, so I was studying biology, but I was a bit clueless which direction I wanted to go. And then I had a professor, he did a virology lecture. And he was fascinating. And I think from that moment on, I wanted to be a virologist.
Very cool.
It's a bit like that. Yeah.
Exactly, very interesting.
Yeah.
So during your career, you moved across countries, right? To Germany, US, and now France. How did that influence you as a person and as a scientist?
I grew up in South America. So this is one of the reasons I always wanted to go back into the world and not stay in Germany. And I'm open about it. I'm very Americanophile. So I always wanted to go for a postdoc to the US. And then the plan was, okay, you go to a postdoc, you make a nice postdoc, and you come back, you become a professor in Germany, you become a big hero in science. But then I met a French lady, I moved with her to France, it didn't work out, now I'm married to an English lady. And
still in France.
Still in France, yeah. So we both made our careers in France, and we have a very international family, so my children are born in France. And no, I think science is a truly international business. Yeah? So it's, if you discuss with scientists from different cultural backgrounds, from different countries, the data are the same. So you have a common language, and this is what I like about science.
Very cool. So what did you learn from your formation, PhD and postdoc, that you wanted to bring to your lab, and something that maybe you wouldn't like to bring to your lab? Do you have something that you would like to emphasize?
I'm in a very lucky position because I had a PhD supervisor who was a very good scientist. And what he always took care is when he invited big shot scientists from all over the world and we were going out for dinner, he would take his PhD students along. And that is something that I still do. So I get my PhD students, and if you have someone invited who is a senior scientist, I want them to discuss. Yeah? I want that the PhD students see that senior scientists are real people. Yeah? That they're fascinated and that they can help you to get fascinated yourself.
Exactly. Very cool. No, it's easy.
So, what did I not want to bring? Not much. I keep an open mind, be interested.
Nice, very nice. So, the $1 million questions. What is the big question that you would like to answer during your career?
We discussed this before, right? So I don't really have a $1 million question because the questions always they always evolve. Yeah, so the more knowledge, each time you find something and you think, okay, now I answered my question, you have 5 new questions, which then become the more important question, and then you follow these questions up. So it's no, I don't really have this $1 million question.
No, but but you have your idea that you would like to pursue. But since once you answer one little question, you have 5 more to answer. So the idea is to keep going in your field, right?
Yes, of course. But I'm studying virology or biology of adenoviruses, and I'm interested in all aspects of the biology of adenoviruses. So if I had €1 million, or I would actually try to understand it as entirely, as a complex. So,
very cool. You need to apply for an ERC to get that funding.
I'm too old to apply for an ERC, unfortunately.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.